Welcome to this Football Manager 2015 experiment. It's been way too long since my last one, which I do apologise for, but I've mainly been focusing on my Let's Play series on my channel, with Chelmsford City on FM15, trying to get them all the way up to the top, and with Leeds United in my Championship Manager 01-02 nostalgic series, which people seem to be enjoying. If you haven't checked them out, please go over to my channel and watch them, and hopefully you'll enjoy them and enjoy the journey of me trying to progress with those two teams on those two different games. But today, it's a Football Manager 2015 experiment. As usual, if you've got any ideas for future Football Manager experiments, please let me know in the comment section below. I copy and paste them all into a document, and often they emerge at some point and I do an experiment, usually adapting your ideas. For example, today's idea is adapted from people's suggestions in the past. I started doing experiments way back in February 2013 now, and other channels have taken them on board and done things recently as well. But this idea, I think, was listed way back in the day, and a couple other people have suggested this sort of thing as well. So what I have done is I've removed the best player from each team in the Barclays English Premier League. Now you probably think that's a rather subjective matter, because everyone's open to their own opinion as to the best player in each team, but I've gone on Football Manager 2015 data. I've gone on the editor, opened up each club, filtered from top to bottom the best players by current ability. Now, for those of you that don't know, current ability is out of 200 on Football Manager, and potential ability is also out of 200, unlike the usual attributes which are out of 20. Now this basically determines how good a player is and how good they can get on the game. So I'm going to go down the list of players, one from each team, let you know which players been removed, show you them on the game, and then I'm going to holiday one season in this game, in this experiment, and we're going to compare the Premier League table in this to the real life table of this current season that's just finished. And we might have a look at some of the players as well that have been removed from the team, some of the better ones, to see where they've gone on a free. So the first player is Alexis Sanchez. He's the best player at Arsenal, according to the editor. He's got 174 current ability, so I've removed him from the team. He'll probably end up at a really good club because of how good he is, of course. So be interesting to see how Arsenal do without Alexis Sanchez. I did actually do an experiment where I removed him from the Arsenal team back in January or February time. That was before the update, when it was actually not as good. On the update, he's a much better player and is actually the best player at Arsenal. Now this is an interesting one, because the FM15 editor regards Brad Guzan as the best Aston Villa player. There's a few keepers actually on the list, so it'd be interesting to see how certain teams do without their goalkeepers, as opposed to maybe a team without a striker, where you think that maybe that would be a bit more of an impact. But the likes of Guzan, De Gea, those sort of goalkeepers, Lloris, Begovic, are really solid keepers, really good keepers, and often probably have won games single-handedly for them. So let's see how Aston Villa do without Brad Guzan, who has a current ability of 146 on the game. Next up is Danny Ings. He's the Burnley's best player, with a rating or current ability of 140. Next up, Chelsea's Eden Hazard has a current ability of 179, but they've got amazing players all round, so you'd probably say there's probably still favourites to win the league, despite the fact they have lost Hazard. But then again, he's the player of the season. Surely had a really good impact on Chelsea. Maybe they won't. Maybe they won't win the league without him. So Miles Jedinak is the best player at Crystal Palace, apparently, with 139 current ability. But searching for him, he's vanished from the game. Now I've removed him. He's not just been removed from the club, he's actually been removed from the game, so we won't be able to see how he does. Leighton Baines is Everton's best player. He's got a current ability of 159, so he's been removed. So Hull City's best player is apparently Dame Endoy, so he's been removed. He's got a current ability of 142. So Leicester's best player is Kramaric. I've removed him from the squad, and he's also been removed from the game for whatever reason. Maybe because I haven't loaded every single league up, but it's not really anything bad, because we're only going to be looking at the really, really good players to see where they've gone on frees. The whole point of this experiment is to see where the teams finish in the league without their best player. Next up is Raheem Sterling. He's Liverpool's best player. Now him and Sturridge Both have 160 current ability, so I went to the next thing, which was potential ability. Sterling's was a bit higher than Sturridge's, so I removed Sterling from Liverpool. No surprises here really for Man City's best player, Sergio Aguero. He's got a massive current ability of 186, the highest out of any of the players on the list. So he's been removed from Manchester City. How will they do without him? Next up, David De Gea is Man United's best player. I think he had the same current ability as Di Maria, but De Gea had a better potential rating. He's got a current ability of 174 on the game. So how will Man United do? This is a really interesting one, because obviously there's been much talked about Man United's defence this season, specifically at the start of the season, the first half. And without De Gea, they would have probably been beaten on numerous occasions. So how will they do without him on the game? Newcastle's best player according to FM15 is Moussa Sissoko. He has a current ability of 149, so he's left Newcastle. Stephen Corker is QPR's best player. He's got a current ability of 138, so they're probably going to miss him at the back, his solid defensive ability. Now, Southampton's best player on the editor is actually Osvaldo, but he's on loan, so I've decided to remove Morgan Schneiderlin from Southampton, who's got a current ability of 150. Here we have another keeper, Asmir Begovic. The Stoke keeper has been removed because he's got the highest current ability, 157 he's got. Now, Sunderland's best player on the editor is Jermaine Defoe, who only moved in January time anyway. I think a couple of the players have us actually on the list. Endoy for Hull as well. So Defoe's left. He's got a current ability of 142. Swansea's best player, Gylfi Sigurdsson, has a current ability of 143. How are they going to miss his influential playmaking abilities? And here we have a fourth keeper from the list. Hugo Lloris, the Spurs keeper, is the best player at Spurs. 169 current ability for him. Then we have Yusuf Malumbu, the West Brom midfielder, with a rating of 145. And lastly for West Ham United, we have Enner Valencia, who has the highest current ability out of any players at that team with 149. So now I'm going to holiday one season and we're going to see what has happened to these players, but primarily we're going to see what's happened to the teams that they played for and where they finished, and compare it to real life. So I've holidayed 1 year. Before I get cracking on some analysis, please hit that like button right now, just to let me know you'd like to see some more experiments, just to let me know you're enjoying the video so far. It'd be much appreciated. Let's recap what happened in real life. In the Premier League, we saw Chelsea win the league with 87 points. Man City, Arsenal and Man United made up the top four. Relegated teams, Hull City, Burnley and QPR. How will that differ from what we see in a minute? So this is what you've been waiting to see. The Premier League table without the best players at each club. And as you can see, massive changes. Liverpool have won the league. I shouldn't sound so surprised there, but come on, I am surprised. Liverpool, 81 points, 10 ahead of Man United. So Liverpool in real life finished 6th, so they've got 19 more points on the board and moved up all the way from 6th to 1st. Man United 2nd, moving up a couple places, but only 1 more point than what they managed in real life. Man City 3rd and Chelsea all the way down in 4th, just ahead of Everton and Aston Villa on goal difference. And they had a very good goal difference, but only managed 62 points, 10 defeats for Chelsea this season compared to 87 points in real life. So that's a huge change. Without Eden Hazard, they have struggled. At the bottom of the table, West Brom, Leicester and QPR relegated. So QPR once again finished bottom, just like in real life. 4 points ahead of what they managed in real life. Leicester down in 19th compared to 14th in real life. They managed in the end, 36 points as opposed to 41. West Brom losing 6 points and dropping down to 18th. Sunderland just about surviving, with Palace not doing great either this season, 7 points worse off. Did anyone finish in the same place? Yes, Stoke, 9th, but I've missed out. Tottenham and Arsenal, look at them, both down there, 7th and 8th for Arsenal. Really missing Alexis Sanchez with 57 points. What on earth happened to them? So you may have been a bit doubtful as to what sort of impact this would have, because it's only one player from each team. But remember, it's the best player, and as you can see there, Arsenal finish in 8th, Chelsea finishing 4th. Liverpool actually doing better off without Raheem Sterling, so maybe they should sell him in the summer. Just release him on a free and you'll be fine. You'll win the league next season. So there we go. Crazy. We will look at some other things like top scorers, what sort of players certain teams signed, and we'll look at the likes of Alexis Sanchez and Eden Hazard, see where they went. But yeah, some remarkable changes there. Top scorer Falcao for Man United. Okay, well that's not particularly realistic, but without De Gea in the team, he's decided to start scoring. And Man United have actually done better without De Gea. They have conceded 50 goals. But let's look at the full season. We'll just have a look. Full table, sorry. And then you can sort of have a look to see a few other things. I'll put that in between there in the gap. So you can see Man United in real life conceded 37 goals, which is a lot less than they managed on this. So without De Gea, they did concede more goals, but they did actually score more for whatever reason. Falcao came good, like he sometimes does on saves. I could simulate this 1,000 times and we'd have different results. I doubt Liverpool would win it the most, but you never know, maybe. Any other changes? Top scorers were Chelsea with 84 points despite finishing 4th. They actually scored more goals and finished 4th in this compared to real life. They scored 73, but their defence was awful for whatever reason, despite the fact they've got Courtois and Cech to call upon. But that is really weird, actually. I'm not sure what's happening there. Let's look at the Liverpool team then. Just have a quick look at the transfers to see if that... They actually signed Brad Guzan on a free, and they signed Raheem Sterling. He's at Chelsea. Yeah, sorry, he went... a couple of players went back. I holidayed a couple of weeks, and they went back to their own club, so I removed them manually with the in-game editor, so that will show that. Eden Hazard actually went back and I removed him, because that defeats the object of the experiment if they go back straight away for whatever reason. So Raheem Sterling's actually gone to Chelsea, which is interesting in itself. So yeah, if you see any players back at the original clubs, it's because of that reason. So the team, let's have a look. Brendan Rodgers still in charge, as you'd expect, considering he's won the league. Goals-wise, top scorer Daniel Sturridge, so he didn't have as injury-hit season, managed to get 40 games under his belt. Balotelli also came good with 17, and Emre Can with 14 goals from midfield. Barini got a few as well, but wow, really massive difference in the team. Guzan and Mignolet shared responsibilities in goal. I'm not going to look at every team in detail because that will take forever, but we'll look at some of the interesting performing teams. You can see here Man United spent 99 million this season to try and finish second. They did actually sign Falcao on a permanent deal for £41 million. Complete opposite of real life. They sold bought Vertonghen as well and Schneider, and they sold £20.5 million worth of players. Phil Jones went to Tottenham. Antonio Valencia went to Monaco. Carrick went to Tottenham as well. Some real interesting signings there and transfers. Falcao top scorer, like I said. Rooney only got 12 goals this season. Average rating wise, Mata was top. Actually have a quick look at the player stats to see who did perform the best over the whole season. You can see Mata, Company, Stones, Emre Can and Oscar, the top 5 average ratings. Goals wise, you can see the list there. Sacco's in there. Diego Costa 18 goals as well. Assists wise, Cabella for Newcastle with 15. Shots on target, Ramsey high. Key tackles, Jagielka and Stones for Everton, both very good, solid at the back for them. Conceded, Mignolet conceded the least, but then again Brad Guzan was playing games as well. Victor Valdez had a decent season for Man United, obviously helping them finish second, although they did concede quite a few goals in the process. Jaskalainen for West Ham, they didn't play Adrian for some reason. So we'll have a look at we'll have a quick look at the Man City transfers. I'll just whiz through quickly. They did only sold one player, Hamsik, for 35 million. But obviously financial fair play does prevent teams from signing lots of players. Bonnie and Dzeko top scorer. Obviously Aguero not there, so it was Bonnie and Dzeko were relied upon to try and provide them with the goals. Company had a really good season compared to real life. Chelsea, so they did in fact sign Sterling on a free. As we know, Eden Hazard went back, so I released him again. Wellington Nem, bit of an old school football manager name there. Fernando from Shakhtar as well. 2 players coming from Shakhtar. And Raheem Sterling. How did he do at Chelsea then? So 22 games, 6 goals in all competitions. He's done quite well. Top scorer, Diego Costa, 27 goals in all competitions. Oscar and Cuadrado with good seasons. Average rating wise, John Terry at the top still. I suppose we'll have a look at the FA Cup and League Cup as well, maybe Champions League. We'll have a look at a few different things. This video is going to be quite long, so sorry if you find it too long, but hopefully you find this interesting. So Arsenal finished 8th, which is really interesting, so we'll have a look at them. These are their signings, £31.5 million spent. Ayew going there, Savic and Sal, 2.4 million sold. This is the team. Top scorer, Welbeck, 17 goals. Oxlade-Chamberlain second. Average rating, Cazorla. So without Sanchez, they really struggled. So looking at the teams that went down, we've got Eddie Howe in charge of West Brom now. They've not really done anything in the transfer market and have struggled without Malumbo in midfield. Brown Adai, top scorer, Berahino, 14 goals as well. Adel Nabi, doesn't really count. He made 1 sub appearance. Jonas Olsen, top average rating for them. But yeah, struggling without Malumbo. Leicester struggling without Kramaric, going down. And complete opposite of real life. They had a very good end to the season in real life. David Nugent, 22 goals, though, had a good season. And Ajoa with 16, so they've had a couple of really good goal scorers, but they still went down. Just going to compare their end of the season to real life. It's, not complete opposite, as you can see there. They only won a couple of games in the last few games. And lastly, just like in real life, QPR relegated, bottom of the table. This is the team. Top scorer was actually Charlie Austin with 20 goals. He had a good season, just like in real life. And they spent a bit of money, signed a few players, sold a few on loans. So we'll just look at a few other competitions. Community Shield won by Man City on penalties, obviously minus Aguero and Hazard. Going up, Capital One Cup won by Tottenham 3-0 in the final against Hull City. Townsend, Kane and Lamella with the goals. So obviously they've got a good keeper to replace Lloris. They've got Michel Vorm, who's a really good keeper. And it was actually a man of the match in this final as well. So perhaps not missing Lloris as much as you'd expect. They did finish 7th, so that's a bit lower than in real life, but pretty much the same. And they also won the FA Cup. So Spurs actually won 2 cups, despite the fact they lost Lloris. And Kane got the winner against Liverpool in the final. Liverpool had the chance of winning a league and cup double there, but Tottenham won a cup double. So well done to Tottenham and Liverpool, both dominating in domestic football. Let's have a look at the Champions League. So just like in real life, Barcelona won the Champions League. It was against PSG in the final though. Pedro and Messi with the goals. Let's just go back a couple stages. So Man City actually got to the semis, better than real life by a long way in fact. The Euro Cup was won by Juventus 3-2, not really relevant to anything, but let's have a look at some of the English teams, how well they did. Did they get very far? Everton got to the quarter-final, lost 3-0. So now I'm going to look at some of the players I think that we removed and see where they have ended up on free transfers and see how they've done at those clubs. So starting with Alexis Sanchez, moved to Bayern Munich, probably a club you would expect him to go to. Did actually suffer from injuries though. A few injuries there really hindering his first season there. Although in the games he did play, he managed to get 11 goals in 14 starts and 2 sub appearances with a 7.64 average rating. That is a really, really good first season despite the injuries. Danny Ings ended up at Tottenham rather than Liverpool in real life. Tottenham were linked with him and he did actually join Spurs only after a season with Southampton actually. Managed to get 11 goals in all competitions for Southampton before moving to Tottenham at the end of the season for 13.75 million. Next up, Eden Hazard has gone to Atletico. One of the players that did actually go back to his team and I had to remove him. He went to Atletico in January and managed to get an average of 7.54. That's pretty strong. 6 goals and 7 assists for Atletico, where Real Madrid actually won the league. They didn't get in the top 3. Now I thought I'd better show you Leighton Baines because it was impossible to keep him away from the club. I removed him twice and he went back to Everton once again in January and played the second half of the season there and helped them up to 6th, I think, 5th. So whether that him going back enabled them to finish 5th, I don't know. Unfortunately, I just couldn't keep him away, so maybe that's something in itself. Baines is just loyal to Everton now. So Raheem Sterling went to Chelsea on a free and had a pretty good season there. 6 goals in all competitions in 22 games, 7.3 average rating. That's pretty strong. But he did leave Liverpool, who won the league, to Chelsea, who finished 4th. So Sergio Aguero went to Real Madrid and had an incredible season for them. 38 goals in 44 starts and 1 sub-appearance. Quite an injury-free season, unusual for him. Unbelievable season for them. But you could argue maybe the Spanish defences are a bit weaker and he does suit that league. But he has done it in the Premier League as well. 29 goals in 32 games for Real Madrid. That's not too far off what he does for City, really. Right. You were probably wondering where David De Gea would go, but I very much doubt you thought he would go to Nottingham Forest. He's on £18,500 a week at Nottingham Forest, who finished mid-table in the Championship. If we just have a look, they finished 12th, I do believe. Yes, 12th, 64 points. Wigan won it. But what? I don't get it. That is the most random thing of the episode. Definitely. De Gea has gone to Nottingham Forest. Why? Sorry, Forest fans, if I'm offending you. I managed Nottingham Forest on FM15 in a series on YouTube, of course. So I have an affiliation with you guys now, thanks to that. But why has he gone to Nottingham Forest? It makes no sense. Begovic has actually gone to Lyon. So he's gone to a bigger team than Nottingham Forest, a currently bigger team in the top division in France. Forest in the second tier of English football. So Begovic is playing at a top level after leaving Stoke. It's quite strange. We'll have a look at where Lloris went, the other keeper. But I think it's quite a strange move for him as well, actually. When it finally lets me... there we go. Lloris has gone to Aston Villa. But he's only just moved there on a free. He spent a season away playing for no one and has moved to Aston Villa at the end of the season, who did finish 6th, remember. Very good season, but that was without Lloris in their team. And we'll end with another interesting one. Enner Valencia going to Juventus, scoring 10 goals in all competitions this season. Pretty decent first season for them. So yeah, I just picked out a few interesting ones there. I looked through all the players and that was probably the most interesting stories to look at. I hope you've enjoyed this experiment, something a bit different, but I think quite fascinating at the same time. Some big differences in the end with Liverpool winning the league, West Brom and Leicester going down, Burnley and Hull surviving comfortably so, Arsenal finishing in 8th, top scorer Falcao, De Gea going to Forest, craziness, Alexis Sanchez going to Bayern Munich, Lloris going to Villa, Brad Guzan going to Liverpool. Just such a random mix here, and I hope you found it fascinating and entertaining. So please hit that like button if you want more of these. Suggest some FM experiments in the comment section below. Maybe something similar to this, something along these lines as well. Something I'd like to do an experiment. There's a few changes. We made 20 changes. It affected all the teams, and there was quite a few big differences. When you just move one player or one manager, often the differences are minute and they're not particularly interesting to watch in an experiment, which is why in recent months I've gone for these big things where, you know, there's a series because I've swapped all the leagues around, or I've given lower stuff lots of money, and that's what I've done. I think they're a bit more interesting to watch. Sometimes perhaps you get less information, realistic information out of them, but I think they're more fun to watch, and I hope you agree. Yep, I will see you very soon, guys. Thanks for watching.